This iPad is old and broken, like me. This is important because this old and broken iPad can run any drawing application that exists for iPads. So if this iPad can run it, so can yours. Especially one app that I love and I want to tell you about. Now, if you need to know, this one is a 2018 basic iPad. You can get it for $99 on eBay. But if you're watching this video, you probably have an iPad already and you want to start drawing in it. Now, the first thing you know is the following. If you want to draw on an iPad, you need to get an Apple Pencil. So whatever model of iPad that you have, you need to make sure that the Apple Pencil that you buy is compatible with your device. When you do, make sure that the compatible Apple Pencil that you're buying is the one that has pressure sensitivity. Because there is a model that no one should buy that doesn't have, and it is the cheapest one. It is called the Apple Pencil USB-C. Don't get that one. I seriously don't know why that thing exists in the first place. And now the good news, because once you have an Apple Pencil, if you choose to, you can stop spending money. Because while there are great paid apps for your iPad, with Procreate being the most famous one, there is also a free app that does everything that Procreate does. I'm talking about Adobe Fresco. With Fresco, you have every tool that an artist might need with a very friendly user interface. And the best thing is that you used to have to pay for a subscription for Fresco, but now you don't. It is completely for free. And do you want to hear an even better thing? Yes, better than best? Sure, why not? Adobe used to have one of the best brush designers in this whole planet, Mr. Kyle Webster, and he used to design brushes for both Photoshop and Fresco. And now you can have all of those brushes on Fresco for free. But maybe you're more of a beginner than I thought and you don't even know what a digital brush is, where digital brushes can take any form that you might want, like really any form. You can have pencil brushes, markers, oil brushes, watercolor, splatters, ink, and whatever you want to call this thing. If you can imagine it, there is probably a brush for it, and Kyle Webster probably made that brush for you. So go to the App Store, get Fresco, and let's get started. So when you open the app, you will see something like this. Here, you can either select an image that you've already been working on, that may not be the case for you, or you can just tap here and create a new file. Now you have a few size options to choose from, and if I could recommend one, I would go to print, and then I would choose either A4 or letter. Why this too? Because once you're drawing, you may want to zoom in and out every once in a while, and with this file size, you won't get everything pixelated. So this is the main interface of Fresco. There are a lot of icons on the side, on either side, and that may look a little bit overwhelming, but it is not. There's also this mystery circle that we will talk about later, but on the left, there are the pencil options. Everything you see here are the tools that you will use with your pen. On the right, there are the layer options. Here is the biggest difference between drawing digitally and traditional. So layers. What are layers in digital illustration? Well, the best way to describe it is using animation as an example. Now, since the 50s, Disney animators used something called multi-plane camera, where they painted different characters and parts of the background in different sheets of glass or acetate so they could work on them individually. Well, when drawing digitally, think of each layer as a piece of glass. You can paint it all, or you can paint just a character. What you don't paint in that layer remains transparent. Back to the left side, we have the pencil tools. Because this is an introductory video, I'm only going to talk about these two tools. One is the eraser tool, it erases, that's all you need to know. And this one is the brush tool. Now, you'll see when you tap on it, that a menu will appear, and you can choose what type of brush you want. There's a lot of options, and you can also go here and get even more options, but we are just going to go to sketching, and select pencil. If you start drawing and feel like the pencil is too big or too small, you can change the size here in this floating bar where you can change the size and the color of the pencil. Now, I'm going to walk you through a very simple drawing so you can have an idea what the process of a digital painting looks like. I'm not going to go into super detail. I'm going to draw something very basic because showing my skill is not important in this video. If you want to see what I draw like, this is what I draw like. Now let's move on and let's teach you some digital drawing, okay? You can see on the right that the layer menu has two squares. This one is the background. The other one is the layer on top. This grid that you see here means that the layer is transparent. When you see that grid in a layer, that means that whatever is on that grid is transparent. Now, as you can also see, this layer has already been chosen for us. We can change it like this. This is so we don't start drawing on the background in case we need to change it. So here we start sketching whatever we want to draw. I'm going to make this very simple face right here. So here I have it, a cute sketch. Now, the reason why I told you that you should get an Apple Pencil that has pressure sensitivity is because, well, what you can see here, with pressure sensitivity, if you press really low, you get this really subtle line, but if you start pressing more, you get this darker line, and it also has tilt, which means you can start like this, but as you tilt more and more, you start using more of the side of the brush. This is why the Apple Pencil is so important, because as far as iPads go, the Apple Pencil is the only one that can do this. And now it's time to clean up. So I'm going to tap here. This is the layer properties or menu. And now I'm going to lower the opacity. You see how the drawing starts slowly fading away? Great, this is going to be great because now I have to clean it up. So I'm going to tap on a new layer icon, which I just did. And now I'm going to change the brush. I'm going to choose an ink brush. This is not something that I usually do given my art style, but you know what? Just for the sake of showing you how to do an illustration, I'm going to use it. So now it's time to do clean lines. Now, one of the great things about drawing digitally is that you can undo what you did. And this is the reason why I love it. I didn't like what it did, so I just tapped twice on the screen with my two fingers. And now I can try again. And you can do this almost as much as you want. There is a limit, but that depends on the software that you're using. I never tested the limit on Fresco, but I know that it probably has one. If you don't like tapping on the screen, you can also use this button to undo. So now that this is cleaned up, I'm going to tap here on the layer that I did the sketch, and I'm just going to tap here on the eye, and I just made that layer invisible. Now, it's time to color underneath the clean lines. Now, since I'm on the sketch layer, I'm going to tap here to create a new layer. And as you can see, this layer is underneath the clean lines layer. This means that whatever I do on that layer is going to be underneath the cleanup layer. You see? So now I'm going to change the brush once again, and this time I'm going to choose one of the brushes that I like, that I imported from Photoshop, because that is something that you can actually do. I know that this is like an introductory video, but if you plan on working between Photoshop and Fresco, you can also bring your brushes from Photoshop to Fresco. I'm going to tap here so I can change the color. I'm going to choose some skin color that I like, and let's just go with this one. And now let's see, do I like this size? Maybe I want something bigger, so I just tap here, bigger size. Now I'm deleting all these mistakes with the eraser tool. And now I'm going to show you one more thing that you can do with digital brushes and digital layers that you cannot do in real life. I'm going to tap here on my layer and I'm going to lock the transparency. So now I'm going to choose another color, and it doesn't matter where I paint because I will only paint on the places where I already painted before. The parts that are transparent in that layer will remain transparent. This way, when you want to start coloring a character's hair, for example, you can do it like this and you don't go away from the edges of your previous coloring. Sorry for the bad drawing quality. I'm not trying to make something perfect here. I'm just trying to show you how things work, okay? Now I want to show you something here. I made a quick mistake on the character's tooth. I want to repaint that part, but I don't know exactly what color I used. So what I do is just tap on that color and the color picker will choose it for me. I'm going to use a smaller brush. Wait, there we go. And then I'm going to keep doing that here. And you can use this in many ways. Now I have to correct another mistake here. Tiki tiki. And now, for example, if you want to make this boy's face blush a little bit, you can just tap, change the color just a bit, and just paint some rosy cheeks. So this is the most basic way to use Adobe Fresco. But as a way to start drawing on an iPad, this is all you need to know. Now, I promised that I was going to show you one last thing, and it is this circle. This is the modifier circle. Depending on the tool that you're using, it will have different properties, but here I want to show you what you can do with the brushes. I'm going to unlock the transparency so I can delete here. And now, you see that if I paint here, I'm just painting. But if I keep pressing this button, I start erasing with the same brush. This way, if you're like doing some pencil sketching and you want to draw with a pencil sketch as well, you can do it this way. You don't have to change the tool between erasing and drawing. And it is fantastic and I love it. One more thing that you can't do with traditional drawing. Now let's pretend that you're super happy with this drawing and you want to export it, and you can share it. Actually, you just have to tap this. Quick export, you can share a snapshot, you can open Illustrator, or you can just publish and export as a JPEG. So you can save it here on your iPad and you can share it later. One more thing that I like about Fresco is that since it is made by Adobe, all of the files or brushes are 100% compatible with Photoshop. So if you want to become a professional and you feel like Photoshop might be somewhere in your near future, well, Adobe Fresco is a great way to get familiar with the tools that are also in Photoshop and that you might eventually find yourself using. And talking about tools, there are some few tricks that I like to use in Photoshop with some tools when coloring my characters. And these are tools that are both available in Photoshop and in Fresco, and I think that you like them too. So if you really want to watch this video, you can do it, and it is right here.